This is the Sales Babble Podcast, episode 268. Trust me, I'm a salesman. An interview with Yuri Vander Sluis.
Welcome to Sales Babble, the podcast that shares selling secrets for non-sellers. And now your host, Pat Helmers.
Hello, Sales Babblers. This is Pat Helmers. And the first question I want to start off with is, do you trust the value that your products and your services bring to market? Do you really think what you're selling is great stuff? Because you know, if you don't, it's going to be very hard to build trust with the buyer. People can tell. They know when you're just trying to get rid of a product and make a commission. They can smell it a mile away. This is the belief of Yuri Vander Sluis, the author of the new book, Trust Me, I'm a Salesman. How to Earn Customers Through Trust and Value. Yuri and I discussed concrete ways to build trust with real examples of building rapport, closing deals, and dealing with price. So, with no further ado, let's get to it. Welcome, Yuri. Are you ready to babble?
I'm babble ready.
In fact, we've been babbling already. Yuri, you are in, where are you at right now? On your Skype, it says you're from Israel. It says you're from the Netherlands. Pick one. Where are you at?
Yeah, so I'm actually in Spain, and I live in Valencia.
I love Spain. Where in Spain are you at?
Yeah, so I'm in Valencia, and actually I work all over Europe and sometimes the U.S. As well. So I'm an international speaker trainer, and I just love the sun. So that's why I'm living in Valencia.
Valencia. But you're really Dutch, right? Isn't that what you said? We were talking earlier.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Holland. I am from Amsterdam. So if you listen really carefully, you will detect a Dutch accent.
You sound pretty Americanized. Did you go to schools in the States?
No, but I used to work for American companies like Forrester Research, for example. Their head office is in Boston. I wrote my thesis in Virginia as well. And actually, I lived in Houston, Texas, about 3 or 4 years ago. So I have my fair share of American exposure, if you will.
I hear you're able to put those American accents in each time you mention Boston and Houston.
Yeah.
Spot on, dude. That's terrific. Good for you. But that's not why we're not. I didn't have you on the podcast here to talk about your travels. Although it sounds pretty cool. I wish I was in Spain today. It's pretty rainy. But you just recently published a book called "Trust Me, I'm a Salesman." What's this book about?
Yeah, sure. So I wrote that book pretty much to inspire salespeople that they can actually embrace the field of sales. I always say you don't have to be an asshole to be in sales or to be a mean person or try to manipulate and steal and con your way into business. You can be ethical. You can be truthful, honest, and transparent and still be really successful in sales. And we all have seen The Wolf of Wall Street, and it's a great movie. And we all see some people thrive by conning others or by manipulating their way into success. So if we look at a different example, the embodiment of the good way of selling, we don't have a stereotype. We only have the bad stereotypes. So I wrote this book. So we know the Wolf of Wall Street. So we needed a top dog, a dog. So I created the dog as a person or just a stereotype that you can strive to be, which is the embodiment of the good way of sales, and that will sell the exact opposite of the wolf. So that's the book I wrote to show salespeople, hey, you can be truly successful by doing it the right way.
Let's just stick with this model of bad TV movies and whatnot that talk about sales people who are not the most ethical. Do you have an example of a film where someone is a really ethical sales professional?
A film where they are not ethical or that they are ethical? Yeah, no, so pretty much, that is Hollywood. These U.S. or most American movies, they start out doing the things the wrong way, and in the end they find out that they actually have a conscience and there is a little plot. So the Boiler Room, for example, is a great movie that talks about how you should not sell, and in the end the actor actually turns around and suddenly realized that they were wrong. But I there are not
Yeah.
many movies where, because it's not really sexy, right? It's not really cool to see somebody being truthful and honest. We want the same. We look at war movies and murder and whatnot. It doesn't mean that they should reflect on us how we should live. With Game of Thrones, all these fantastic TV series, we like it because it doesn't because it's not reality. However, in sales, somehow they think it should be reality. This guy, the Wolf of Wall Street, the actual Wolf of Wall Street, he is still giving speeches. He actually is training people how to sell, but he never sold anything in his life. He only conned people into buying. It's not the same thing, because to be a professional salesperson, the promise should at least be the same of the delivery. If there's no delivery, then you're just conning people, saying, "Hey, buy this," and the person says yes, and there is no product behind it. That's not selling; it's scamming. So we got this scam artist preaching around the world how to sell, but he had people buying penny stocks of companies that barely existed. That is not selling; it's scamming. So I'm reaching out to all those salespeople out there that are looking to establish a relationship with their customers, that they actually have a product and value that they want to sell, and not just because they want to sell it, but because the moment they actually sell it, it's being delivered. And I want to reach out to those people and teach them to not look at those shortcut, crappy sales examples, but to truly understand how to align with your customers.
So let's talk. There's a part in the book here. I got it in front of me here, where you talk about closing the trust gap.
Yes.
Because there's that old saying, people buy from people who they know, like, and trust, right?
Yeah.
What are some practical things that people can do to grow their trust in their prospective clients?
Yeah, so what we need to do is we need to embrace a different kind of approach, whether it's cold calling or lead gen, or the moment somebody wants a demo and they wants to know something about your product. So first, it starts. There are three levels here. Practical tips. One is it starts with integrity, right? So if you have a high level of integrity, the other person would never know that. So the trick is how to demonstrate your high level of integrity. So the moment you can show your authenticity and that you're real, and that you have done your research, and that you truly care about the other person, you've done a real proper preparation. You pretty much put all the information and content you have in the perspective of the other person, which is basic trust, which is basic respect. And I think if you're able to do that, then already you are distinguishing yourself from all the other salespeople out there. Because the biggest risk a salesperson can have is thinking you have only 5 minutes to come with fireworks and how great and phenomenal you are. But the end result is that the person on the other side of the table, or on the phone, or an online demo, will think, oh, maybe it's a great product, but there's nothing else out there. So instead of trying to push everything in that short window of time, turn it around and understand what are the problems that I'm solving, how will it impact that particular customer, make it as relevant as possible. And so you close the trust gap by not thinking of yourself, but putting yourself in the shoes of the other, and start from there, and take your time and be patient.
Yuri, can we get a little more practical here? What are some concrete things that people can do
Yeah,
do
so
to
for
show
example,
that they are trustworthy, or that people believe that they're trustworthy?
Yeah. Okay. So this is fantastic. So what you do? So let's start with the first step. Let's assume that you're the senior vice president of marketing at this 200-man company, and I want to reach out to you. There are a few things I need to do before I approach you. First, I need to know who you are. So I go on your LinkedIn. But it's not just that I look at your LinkedIn. I want to know, where did you go to college? What did you study? What are the things that you're interested in most? What are the articles that you write? And I am imagining the company that you work for, what it would be like to be responsible for marketing for that particular company. So I need to empathize, not just from a personal level, but also from a business level. So the moment I reach out to you, I should find time to say, hey, Mr. Helmers, Patrick, I can imagine in your situation, is it true that it could be challenging for you to find your level of audience in Asia? Because I've seen on your LinkedIn that you're looking for three people in South Korea, and knowing that the founders are American. Isn't it challenging to find the right talent for you in those areas? So the moment if I ask that kind of question, it means I didn't only do my research, but I'm also showing what I think could be challenging, and I relate all the bits of information that I've seen and done my personal research. So you instantly hear a few things. This guy made an effort to understand us. He made an effort to look at my profile, made an effort to understand where are we as a company, and is opening up a dialogue, a meaningful dialogue in an area where he probably will have a service that he can offer us. Because it's never about what I can sell as a product, but it's always about the impact and the value it has on the other side. So the moment you can show that, it means that I actually care about you being successful as a business. And I think the moment you hold on to that principle and that objective, it will resonate every step of the way. Because I know one thing: if it doesn't, they know as well. Because this is a shit person with the same thing. Hey, Mr. Helmers, yeah, I see that you're a senior vice president of marketing. Did you check out our recruitment services globally? Any area we can find you the best people to grow your business. Have you thought about Asia? Because I know that you're looking for certain candidates. We got the best people for you. So, in that second example, I'm just a standard salesperson with a very obvious pitch, in this case, recruitment services. And then it's about the greatness that I have to offer. You're skeptical. And in the best situation, you say, okay, Yuri, send me some examples. I'll take a look at it. Or I already have my partners.
Yeah, that's actually a really good example. What people do all the time is they lead with the product, which goes to something that you said earlier that I really liked, that really picked up. It says it's not about the product, it's about the value.
Exactly. And this is all prep work. It's all prep work. It means it's easier to talk about yourself and your product because it's your comfort zone. And it requires a lot of thinking to align all the information and to put it in a context of the person that you're trying to sell to. And any person that makes that effort and actually can transcend that information and put it into another context, that's always the best strategy to sell. Because in the end, you want to qualify as a salesperson to ensure that you can actually deliver value. Because the moment you're worried about that part, that's how you create trust. Because in the end, if I'm more worried about if I sell my product or not, then I am forcing you as a potential customer to be extremely skeptical. Because why would you trust me if I'm only interested in getting rid of my product? You wouldn't trust me because you can see it from the words that I use. You can even see it in my eyes. I just want to sell. So if I only want to sell, you have to be skeptical because I'm only worried about getting rid of my product. So you would be a very poor customer if you're not critical. So a salesperson that's already critical and wants to ensure that it's a good transaction actually helps the customer to think, okay, well, this salesperson is not only interested in getting rid of their product, he wants to make sure that there is a fit. Otherwise, this salesperson wouldn't sell. Now,
Yeah.
if you're that kind of salesperson, that's how the trust gap is diminished.
Yeah, see, and that's how you get like, and I see this all the time where people have this, they have their pipeline filled with prospects that they never close because it's
Yeah.
not really clear they can really deliver value to these people, and to a certain degree they don't even want to know it. They just like the idea. I got my pipeline filled, but is it really filled?
Yeah. Yeah, so I have to give you a short example. It's phenomenal. This is really really nice story. One of my customers walked up to me and they said, "Yuri, our sales team has a closing issue. We can't close, and I think we got so many millions in the pipeline, and I don't see it coming in. We need to learn how to close." And I was kind of skeptical, and I didn't believe it. I said, "No, you think it's closing because it looks in the CRM that everything could be closed, but I'm not sure if you actually know what the problem is. Can I do a little experiment?" He said, "Yuri, what kind of experiment?" I said, "Let me pick 10 or 20 customers and let me call them from a sales quality standpoint, and I'm going to ask them where they are in the buying process and if the salesperson is professional and if they have all the information that they need, just to find out if it's real a real opportunity." And what I found out that almost half didn't even know about the opportunity or couldn't remember the salesperson to start with, which was shocking. More than half. Uh, yeah,
Obviously, hadn't made much of an impression.
exactly. So there $800,000 in the pipeline, and it would then a customer wasn't even aware of it. Now, a part of it was even worse, saying, "Yeah, I know that there's the opportunity, but we actually require more products, and the proposal isn't big enough." Can you imagine that? So there was also mind-boggling to me. And the third part said, "Yes, we've seen the proposal, but we're not ready yet, and I think we need to go back because it's the timing is wrong, and the salesperson really wanted to push out the products and their prices, but we're not there yet. We're not ready." So I think if you put all these elements together, it's all a matter of not aligning with the very same person you want to sell to. And I think that's the first step, is to understand you you shouldn't go fast or slow just for the sake of slow or fast. You should go as fast as the customer wants to go, because some customers, they need the product yesterday, and you need to be as quick to sell as quickly as possible. And with somebody else, it needs a lot of nurturing, and it takes maybe a year or 2 years for a huge outsourcing deal. So we shouldn't put the timing from our perspective. We should take a very close look at our DMU, at the buying personas, at our customer, and to truly understand how fast do they want to go, and we need to align. And maybe we can be a little bit more leading that, but we shouldn't be out of sync. It's like you walk together in a forest, and one guy is gone and doesn't know where is he.
Yeah, and the thing is, sales organizations sometimes let's muck this all up by they try to push these deals in ways that can't easily be done. So it's the end of the year, right? And we want you to close
Yeah.
by the end of the month or by the quarter.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do a 20% reduction in price or something like that. There's a discount if you do this. They
Yeah.
haven't even, the customer hasn't even, the buyer hasn't even made a decision whether or not they want to buy you or not. What money's not the issue.
Yeah, it rarely is, and if it is the issue, you should think if you want to if you found the right prospect or not. Because if price is the real issue, and if your product is well priced, but price is still an issue, is that the kind of customer you really want? Because maybe they don't have enough money, maybe they're too small. So to accelerate your deals by dumping your value is I find is the exact opposite what a good salesperson should do. It's to understand where is the urgency, where is the impact, And if you're making money, if it's good for the customer to sign to sign the deal, then just secure the value a little sooner, and to find out how you can increase that level of urgency. Don't dump your product. Don't dump your price. Don't get rid of your margin, because it's the poorest introduction of a relationship.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all. And I think this is a thing that I see the people that I consult with all the time, is that the fact is they haven't really thought this out. They really don't know exactly the value they're bringing to market sometimes. They have a feeling this is the right thing because they love their product, but they're not
Yeah.
the ones paying for it.
Exactly. So how cool would it be, seriously, Patrick, if they're talking to a customer is interested, and say, send me a proposal, ask questions like, why are you interested in our product? What do you see as at the greatest benefit for your organization to be to implement this solution? Or what would be a reason for you to see this as a higher priority, more important than other projects? Or what's this distinctive value that you could get through this particular solution? Ask these questions. It may sound strange because you're the salesperson, but it's not about your perception of your own value. It's about the other's perception. So just ask. You would be amazed by how surprising those answers are, because you think that they're buying it because you got high quality, but maybe it's because you got a great service, or maybe there is a complete different value behind it, why they are interested. Once you understand that, then that's the best way to find.
These questions are really, really powerful. And some salespeople think, well, you should already know all that. You should have done all your homework ahead of time, and you already know what they're looking for. Like, just because stuff that you read online isn't necessarily the truth. The best way to know what they're really thinking is to ask them right now.
Exactly, and what they want is not the same as what they need. So
yes,
exactly. So yeah, so they they may think, yeah, we need this great software solution because we're looking to do this and that, but the actual need behind it can be completely different. And if you understand that, then you can also challenge them on what they think that they are looking for and what they think they need. Then that's your value as well, to say, I think you guys should go for something else, or just be critical. Because the moment you're critical, the moment you're not just selling whatever people are asking, it means that you're a professional salesperson. That's the moment you create trust. Just be critical. Because if you're opportunistic, so yeah, we'd like to buy this. Yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but hey, I don't care. It's your decision. Then the moment you're that kind of salesperson, it means you have no added value, and you lose that customer as fast as they come walking through the door. So if you're critical and if you want to go to the bottom of it, that's the moment you truly create partnership.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you're going to give our listeners a piece of advice they could go take action on today, Yuri, what would that be?
Yeah, so what I would do is, two groups of people. Let's assume that I have experienced people in the field listening right now. I would call on your customers and ask a question: why are you doing business with me? And what is the main reason that you chose to do business with me? What are the things that stand out? You need to understand yourself. What is my personal greatest value add on top of the product, service, or the company that you represent? You need to know you personally, because you are the bridge between the customer on the one hand and the organization you represent on the other side. So
Yep.
you need to know your value. So I would truly understand that, and that helps you to find the right stories, to find the right value, and to replicate that as much as you can. Secondly, also for the experienced people, what I would do as a next step to grow is to understand from different layers and levels, also on the customer side, on the executive side, for example, what it means for different DMU members, what the value is. In that case, you can you can increase your positive influence on your customer side and truly become an expert on different domains. So not just selling to the same guy, but also others that are somehow a part of that buying committee to speak their language. Now, a concrete advice for sales beginners would be call on customers of maybe other salespeople and ask them, how are you using the product? Why did you use this product? And if you are to look for a different an upgrade or similar product, and you talk to a salesperson, what are the things that work and what are the things that don't work? I think it's important that if you start to be a professional sales person in the world of today, you truly need to understand how to distinguish yourself from others. And we cannot necessarily learn from older people because the world has changed. There are so many millennials now being part of deciding whether or not they're going to purchase that particular product in a B2B setting. So we need to constantly align and modernize, and they need to understand the customer. You need to understand your customer. And then it's a matter of honing your skills and understanding not only the knowledge that you have of your product or service, but the customer. And to never forget, as the battle that we started in the beginning, it's not your product or domain authority, but your high level of integrity that will take you further than any great sexy master pitcher on the left-hand side.
Yeah. Your book, Trust Me, I'm a Salesman, it's on Amazon, I assume?
Yeah, it's absolutely on Amazon. And for Dutch people, it's Vertrouw me, ik ben verkoper. That's in Dutch, in Holland. And I'm actually also working on, because I live in Spain, so I'm working on a Spanish version as well.
Excellent.
Absolutely. And this is, it's been really great to carry this positive message because it really resonates, especially for non-salespeople. Because you can embrace the world of selling if you define selling as a way to deliver value to the other.
Excellent. Yuri, thank you very much for visiting us here at Sales Babble. This has been really great. I'm glad we were able to connect across the ocean here.
Absolutely. Anytime. If you want to babble another time, I'm babble ready.
Excellent. Long before I started the podcast Sales Babble, I used to write a blog called the Tao Te Ching of Sales. Tao Te Ching, that's T-A-O, Tao. That's like that yin and yang symbol. Maybe you've seen that like in the Korean flag where it's partly black. It's a curve. It's partly black, partly white, and something like that. Yeah, there's this guy named Lao Tzu. He probably, 250, 300 BC. Lao Tzu wrote a book called the Tao Te Ching, The Way Things Are. And I'm a strong believer in that, and I won't get too deep into it in this episode, or maybe one of these other episodes I will. But there's something that he wrote that I really want to quote. He said, "If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy." I really found that true as a manager. The more trust I put in people, the more trusty they were. When I didn't trust them, the less trustworthy they are. The same thing is true in sales when it comes to your clients. Trust that they're going to buy your product or service if you've got the value if you've really got value that you can bring them. Don't rush it. Don't force it. Don't push it. Take your time. Trust the process that over time they are going to start to trust you. And I hope that's the message that you're getting that Yuri repeated over and over again. To find his book, you can find links to it in the show notes at salesbabble.com/268. And if you go to that page, you're going to find a rich set of show notes. Like all the episodes of Sales Babble, I take a lot of time and effort into making great show notes, making sure that there's links and all the quotes, especially like the sales quotes. Like if you hear something that he said that you wish that you could say to a customer, I have a tendency to write those quotes down in the show notes so you can snag those and use them yourself. Sometimes just the right wording truly makes a difference. You can listen to the podcast right there on that page, or you can go to any of your favorite podcast listening devices Apple iPhone, Stitcher, Google Play, Player FM, all of them, Spotify, all of them. You can find Sales Babble in any of those places. Got a question or comment? Don't hesitate to reach out and ask. I would love to hear from you. Well, that's all I got for this week, folks. Until next week, take care and have a highly successful and a profitable selling day.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Babble podcast. Find us at www.salesbabble.com.